So what led me to experimental music was, as a student, I was interested in jazz and improvisation, and I met an older improviser in Minneapolis whose name is Milo Fine, who is, 25 years my senior, 30 years my senior, and I started improvising with him, and he turned me on to the music of Derek Bailey and Morton Feldman and Xenakis, et cetera, et cetera. I was already interested in sort of, Coltrane and Ornette and all of that kind of stuff, but I think that really broke it open for me in terms of finding really new forms and truly, beginning to think about things in abstraction. I've developed a way of writing that is generative, where I am always collecting phrases from everywhere and then writing in response to them. And it gets interesting for me when it starts to blur between what I have collected and what I've written myself. And I think of it as gathering ambient language. So I feel like it's very much a process of listening. And then once the language has been collected, the way that it gets organized is always kind of oscillating between sort of the textual and the textural. So I'm always thinking about things still musically, even if the language seems to be more in the realm of poetics, because that's where I'm most comfortable in the world of music. So the electronics and basically the tape that's playing, which is a combination of acoustic instruments and electronics and voices. That's very much setting up the scaffolding for our voices to sort of exist within. In a sense, it's very simple and pulse-based, but because the way that Felicia and I are speaking or singing, we're kind of doing something in between speaking and singing. We're staying on fixed pitches, and we're not inflecting with a lot of emotive qualities in the voice. So a lot of those colors, a lot of those dynamics end up being held in the electronics tracks. For Oblivion Seekers, all of the spatialization is set ahead of time. I worked with the mixing engineer. We haven't automated any sounds, so they're all fixed in their space, but we were able to create a really beautiful sort of expanded stereo. What's so fun and enjoyable about performing on this system is that you get into this X, Y, and Z axis in terms of how you're thinking about a mix. And so that Z axis is just it's just not something that you often get to consider, with a regular sound system. And then with that in mind, Felicia and I are reading the text together. And so how do we create a sort of aural setting that leaves the center empty, that then allows Felicia and I to be put into that place? And that's what we were able to do.
Woke with a start, false threshold, torn edges, a subtle wave, across a space, across a divide, a chance to recall, but not touching down, brought on by a dose, brought back from sleep, a pre-imagined space now exploded into a startling number of dimensions, shorter thoughts, redacted images, placing time into a space, a radiant pulse, articulating the room, a moment disguised and recalibrated and decentralized, and now escaped, no memories attached, nor any produced. It is and then is gone, or never really was. There was no explanation, no steps to be explored, a clear channel dream, the last of the new romantics, imprinting the surface into another city, joined now by the others. So much for us all to talk about. A few minutes alone. Yeah, we'll keep in touch. The perfect dissolve. A rhythmic shudder now. Corners left to phrase so. The surface very well now. Strategically dented and impossibly dark and not quite weightless and slipping into last. Your best guess now. Phase inversion and well thought out so breaking over your head so our skulls connect and ring out and or rung out so feel better well here is a start and so this again and now this again and where and so this again and now this again and say so this again and show and now this again and so this again and now this again and where and so this again and now this again and say and so this again and show and now this again into out from for where not when begin to for what now then before so everywhere over and anywhere over and 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 to begin with completely destabilized and brought back from before a cold take on too little information the horizontal view quickly receding less of a guess more of the feeling and that feeling proving to be totally incorrect nonetheless totally inconsistent you tend to believe totally incoherent making perfect sense making for another chance slap brings you back and or so